Hey guys, just waiting for see if I'm on Facebook as well. Come on, Facebook. Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back with another video. I was going to work on the Wednesday version of this, but I decided to finish what I didn't finish last night, so I decided to do part 4 of Black Tuesdays. Black Tuesdays are very, as I call it, in my quirky ways. But one thing I've noticed on YouTube is there seems to be a problem with the thumbnail. For some reason, I take a thumbnail and it doesn't seem to work. But I'd have to look back and see if it actually has worked. It keeps saying like beforehand. It says sorry, we were unable to save your video, and then it says it seems to be unable to upload. Then when I do go to upload it, it seems to upload fine, hopefully. So yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with some technical issues that either Facebook or YouTube seems to be going through technical issues at different times. Probably with new AI systems like growth pains or I don't know, whatever. But anyway, these are pointers number 31 to 40. As I say, I was gonna start on um, my plans for Wednesdays and then finish this later. But I thought I'd get it out of the way. I thought symbolically, as it's 1 p.m., I could do part 1 of my plans for Wednesdays, and then part 2 ideally, in an ideal world, I'd do part 2 at 2 p.m. and then 3 at 3 p.m. and that kind of thing. But then I wanted to do part 4 of yesterday, well, this one at 4 p.m. was my initial target, but then I'm trying to think of ideas to cover for Wednesday. I'm trying to think of something different to cover. So if you've got any suggestions on that and what I could cover for like Black Wednesdays, please let me know. I mainly want to focus, to be honest, on supporting the Windrush generation. And I suppose thinking about the Black diaspora more generally, come to think of it, I guess I could also cover Black Wall Street, things that begin with W's. I know it's the Black Wall Street, but yeah, Black Wall Street and the Windrush generation. But anyway, for now, I'm thinking of finishing off what I just started yesterday, and I hope to talk about. As per usual, I thought the easiest way to do it is to talk about what I hope to achieve in the future, looking back. One more thing I want to say before I get onto the list from pointers number 31 to 40 is I was thinking this is the only day of the week except for Sunday actually where I don't have any plans for. Like hopefully tomorrow I'm going to go to the scriptwriters group and take a couple of my mates from the neurodiversity group, and then on Friday I'm hoping to go to the games group all being well. So and then Saturday I might go to another event which is like something to do with jack potatoes. Well, I'm not into jack potatoes personally, but anyway, nice life I know. But anyway, I'm going to try and crack on with the list. So maybe I'll talk more about those another time. But those events that I go to, I'm normally quite reclusive, but sometimes I like to get out of the house a bit. I normally like to just go for a walk and things like that. 2 things I like to do every day, well, 2 or 3. One is to go for a walk. The second one is to have a shower, and the third one is to have my granddad nap at some point, just because I get so tired. I'd rather not need to sleep, but unfortunately, I'm only human after all. But anyway, and I get tired very quickly, but for some reason, I suppose I overthink. But anyway, on that note, these are what I hope to achieve in the future to empower the Black community. Some of the things I hope to achieve with a theme for Tuesdays, although it's a day late. I didn't get around to it last night. So, number 31, I dream that I'll have empowered as many Black people from around the world as possible in those areas I talked about in parts 1, 2, and 3. So things like banking, business, tech, and that kind of thing. So hopefully they'll be empowered as much as possible, and hopefully encourage them to network together, including with allies like myself, but maybe even POC, people of colour more generally, networking together. One of the things, before I move on to point 32, I was thinking like, I thought about this in the past, but I thought it seems like a lot of people in Asia, like in China, Japan, Korea, even India, places like that, and all over Asia, they seem to have a disdain and a prejudice against Black people for some reason sometimes. I mean, obviously, not everyone's like that, but the Asian community seems to have a prejudice against the Black community. And I was thinking, like, the people who invaded their land and called them names and all that were generally, sometimes Black people might have copied them, but it's generally the white man. Just joking. But it was mainly the white people and the Europeans or whatever. Europeans like olive skin, like who did that. So I wonder why they seem to take it out on black people who never did anything bad against them. And someone was mentioned that recently. They said what I was thinking. But anyway, moving on, number 32. Should be careful what I say there. But as I say, maybe POC more generally. I know for the title, as I said before, I put Black Tuesdays, but it could be more for POC generally, and obviously black people would be included in that. We can work together. And that doesn't mean we have to hate on anyone. It doesn't mean we have to hate on anyone. I'm sorry. I say that word because it feels like I could say that word for something I probably shouldn't. But, I'm just joking. I call my own people mutts, by the way. So I hope I don't offend anyone. But I know even that offended some of my fellow mutts. I call this mutts for a joke. Like even when people say words like they said half caste, half breed, or whatever. I guess they are quite offensive words, but it depends on what context people say it in and what their educational levels are or their intentions or whatever. But anyway, if they just gave me money and called me that, it wouldn't bother me. But I'm joking. Sorry. But yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable saying certain words like the N word or C word or whatever. I don't think I'd ever be comfortable saying those unless I was quoting someone or whatever. Like if I was in a movie and I was an actor, because normally watching movies, I would probably say that word if it was in my lines. But other than that, I don't really feel comfortable saying it. Generally speaking, those type of words. But some reason I feel I can say honky or call my own people mutts or whatever, or Mongols or whatever. But anyway, sorry, I'm going way off track. But yeah, I would love to support, as I say, black people around the world as in business, banking, tech. I talk about like hashtag please buy black, hashtag please bank black, and that kind of thing. I say please because I like to be extra polite, and I think people should appreciate that, and not honour and acknowledge such about people supporting the black community. I mean, sorry, but yeah, seeing what they could do if they network together, how they could support each other. I hope that will make sense. I say, yeah, I wonder if by working together they can learn a lot from each other and grow together and teach and train each other. Number 33. So to put it simply, what I talked about in parts 1, 2, and 3, I hope to put them into practice. And I'm not very good at putting things into practice, I've got to admit, and you probably could tell that. I know I make these videos and things like that, and that's my own effort. But if someone says, "Oh, this is something you could do better," that's I have to mention, like, if someone has a suggestion, if you did it this way, it'd be a lot better. And I try and take that on board. So I welcome people posting in the comments, either on Facebook or YouTube, or preferably both, and saying, "This is the best way to support the black community, whether that's in business, banking, tech, or whatever it might be. These are the most empowering areas, the highest paid areas, or whatever. I know money isn't everything, as I said before, but because on Mondays and Tuesdays I like to think mainly of money, business, banking, and that kind of thing. I suppose Monday could be medical Mondays as well, as I mentioned before, black people in healthcare, and how they could advise each other on. This feels a bit hypocritical for me to say about improving diets and things like that. But moving on, also I'd love for them to be tax exempt personally, which could be a form of reparations. But moving on, number 34. So I'd love to see what they could do if they network together and that kind of thing. Number 35, how to support their ambitions, again on Mondays and Tuesdays, and I suppose Fridays. I have to think about like business, finances, money, and that kind of thing. Finance Friday, for instance, and that kind of thing. But yeah, so on Mondays, Tuesdays, I like to think of, and I suppose Mondays, I like to think of like business, banking, tech, and that kind of thing. Yeah, support their ambitions, so black people around the world could get involved in the comments and say like, my ambition is to be whatever it might be, or my ambition is just to have a healthy and happy family. It's not to be wealthy or whatever. It's not to be rich or that. So it'd be interesting. Or some might say, yeah, I'd love to be more rich, or I'd love to prove people who are anti-black wrong. I'd love to show what we can do in business, that we can dress smart. And I feel a bit critical saying that because I always like to dress. This is probably about as smart as I dress and as I have to. I normally love to wear my Italian soccer jerseys for Americans, like they are football kits for Brits or whatever, and Celtic stuff and that kind of thing. Yeah, so I don't like to dress like myself, but maybe that's something that some people do say, like if you dress smart and and that kind of thing. But part of me does wonder, like in the past, I imagined like before I was interested in philanthropy, but I was also interested in making lots of money for myself, and I. Um, I imagined like I was in I think they call it a high-rise building, if I'm not mistaken, and it was. Sorry, NHS is sending me messages about getting my jabs, but I never get my jabs or whatever. But anyway, uh, a high-rise building or whatever, and I imagine like just investing in my gym jams, as we say, like pajamas and all that kind of thing, or whatever. But yeah, I imagine like it just what do they call it? Not an IT. That's what we normally what do they call it? I can't think of the word, but I don't know if it's not the best example, but like what who M.K.S. Um, but anyway, yeah. If I imagine like just investing and you don't have to dress up smart or whatever. I mean, a lot of people say I think young people when they run businesses now, it's very different to how it used to be. So you don't necessarily have to dress up smart. But when you're dealing with people who are a bit old school, and that kind of thing, you probably have to dress up smart, especially if you're meeting someone for the first time for investments. So maybe changing the perception and all that kind of thing. It's like marketing. Again, due to my use of alliterations, I like to say that more on Mondays, like marketing Mondays. But it's to be more financially empowered. But I'd love to know what people think about that. Like, do you think you really need to dress up differently? Like a lot of people say to me when I go out, you have to dress up smarter and things like that. But I love to dress up in what I'm comfortable in. Although I know sometimes when you wear a suit, you might think, yeah, I feel smart or whatever. But anyway, it just feels a bit uncomfortable sometimes when you say in a suit or whatever. But maybe I'm overplaying it. But I think with my dyspraxic conditions, what's called dyspraxia, which is like difficult with movement or coordination, but it affects like I think textures or things like, or it could be a potential autism thing, certain clothes or whatever. But I like to dress for comfort and that kind of thing. But moving on, number 36. Um, so maybe I guess people who have achieved success will know success again, mainly depending on how you define it. But let's say in business, banking, tech, or areas like that, might well know what it takes more. They're going to know more than what I would know. So they might know, yeah, it does take hard work. There's no easy way to do it, unfortunately. But yeah, they would probably know more about that kind of stuff. So what work ethic you need. A lot of time when I see motivational videos on YouTube, they say taking action and working hard. Two things I'm not very good at and don't really like doing, but they say that's really important. That's what you should work on to achieve success. Again, depending on how you define it. And on that note, I'd love to know, how do you define success? What does success mean to you? Like, is it money, happiness, joy, health, family, your family doing well, or is it a combination of those things? I mean, you might say in this world you need a certain amount of money, because if money it didn't matter at all, I wouldn't. Like if people say you should get a job, like my dad, he's very working class. Like he says, I'm a working class hero, working class pride, and all that kind of stuff, working class warrior, and all that kind of thing. I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning that. But he talked about being working class, but then he says, "Oh, you should get a job," and it's a bit old school, so especially back in the day, before like the recession and things like that. He used to say before the economy went to he used to say about getting a job, and he say it's proud for a man to have a job and things like that. So yeah, I say it's old school. Hope he doesn't mind me mentioning that. But I think like if money didn't matter, then I suppose jobs wouldn't matter. Jobs are money is way more important than jobs, really. But as a creative, like, I don't need to get a job to other than to pay my bills, because I can always find things to do, like making videos, writing, going for walks, go to gym and things like that. I don't know. I should be careful what I say. I do get bored quite easily, but when I do, I just having to find things that occupy my brain, occupy my mind, and that kind of thing. As much as I really dislike getting bored, I don't want to use the word hate, but the bored is on hate. I really don't like getting bored. I don't want to hate anyone or anything, but I really strongly dislike getting bored. But people might say your life must be boring, or you need a 9 to 5, otherwise you get bored. But you're not very creative, which is fine. But that's my opinion. But moving on anyway. So number 37. Again, I wonder. I have to say, like many hands make light work, which I talked about before. And I wonder if they do network together, could they find easy ways to do it? Could AI, could cranes, robotics especially, or certain tools with AI as well, robotics certainly, and AI perhaps as well generally, and also I've to mix those two up to be fair, but also apps. Could they build apps and mix those things together and really just enjoy it, which I think is smart work rather than hard work. Because if it's something you enjoy, as I said before in previous videos, I think in the last video I made, I said it's not really hard work if you enjoy it. Like if someone went to play football, soccer for Americans out there, you could say if someone's fit and healthy, they would enjoy it more. But if you're not, then it's probably a lot harder work if you're not played for a while, or you don't play football, and then someone chucks you right in. Like if I went to play cricket with people who play cricket regularly, I would struggle, I'm sure, because I don't really play cricket or other sports. In football, like I haven't played for a while, so I'm sure I'd be out of shape. Well, I am out of shape. So but because I played before, maybe it would all come back to me and all that kind of thing. But it would take me a while to get into it. But I suppose it's something I could probably, if I could still compete with younger players, then I'd say there's something wrong with you if I can still compete with you now. But yeah, I wonder if they could create AI, robotics, apps, websites, and things like use tech and network together as well as another thing, like networking together and investing. I wonder if it could be easy. There could be easy and simple ways to do it. Some people might say if it was easy, everyone would do it. But I guess easy when you know how. Like when you go to school, they don't teach you things about money. Like I have to mention Robert Kiyosaki says that. But I think a lot of other people, like Simon Squibb, and many other people say that at school they just don't teach you enough about money. And a lot of people say it's designed on purpose. So it's like built. If you look at, not in that way obviously, but if you look at a school, the building, the structure of the building. I've not noticed it myself, but a lot of people say, because I think like a building is a building, I guess. But they say that it's designed to be like a factory. And some people even say jobs are like school for adults. Like sit down on your desk, do what you're told, dress this way, do that. But people go into business, I guess it's similar. I guess. I think there's no such thing as 100% freedom, I guess, but you never know. But anyway, I'd say a bit of a negative thought. I think like the only 100% freedom is non-existence. You don't do anything you don't want to do, but it can make each other as free as possible and like to do what they enjoy and bring joy to each other, I guess, joy to life and that kind of thing. But moving on, number 38, I'd love for them to have like creative hubs and centres where they can talk about before, like they could find networking opportunities, teaching, training, funding opportunities. They can find where to get funding from, how to invest, learn from those who already done it, like so people can teach and train them how to do it, and that kind of thing, how to invest, run business, banking, get into banking and that kind of bank, bank bosses or people who run banking employment and that kind of thing. Training could be there in attendance to sort of help them to get into those areas. So people in the fields of business, banking and tech could meet with members of the black community and say like, we'll help you with training and that kind of thing. I know they already kind of do that, but I'd love to see more of that, like hubs and centres. Like African countries could have business hubs and centres and that kind of thing, which teach people about that kind of thing, tech hubs and that kind of thing. And look at how banks, as they could employ more black people to work in banking, as well as funding businesses and that kind of thing, and fund training and teaching opportunities, and help more black people, as I say, in business and tech and that kind of thing. Tech companies could look at how to train more black people, especially from a young age. And that sort of thing. Number 39. So yeah, hopefully I can put these ideas into practice. I'd love for people out there to say how to go from just having ideas to putting them into action, implementing them, and that kind of thing. So yeah, taking them, taking them from idea stage to action stage or whatever. I say putting them into action basically. And number 40, as ever, I'd love to know what you think. I'm Josh, and I'm out.